I just deleted every communication you sent me. It wasn't planned. I didn't sit there and think it through. Didn't light a candle. Didn't write a goodbye letter. I just opened my phone, scrolled up, and started pressing delete. One by one. Messages, voice notes, pictures, emails, screenshots, gone. Not because I was angry, but because I was tired. Tired of holding on to conversations that didn't match your actions. Tired of rereading your words, trying to figure out where it all stopped being real. Tired of lying to myself that maybe there was still something hidden in your messages I hadn't understood yet. There wasn't. It was all there, plain and loud. In between the late replies, the broken promises, the "I'm busy," and the "you're overthinking." You made me feel like I was too much for simply needing something real. You'd text me sweet at night and disappear in the daylight. You'd say things that sounded good, only to act like they meant nothing the next morning. And I kept holding on to those words like they were facts. Like they carried the same weight for you as they did for me. But they didn't. Because if they did, I wouldn't be sitting here right now, deleting what used to feel like home. Every good morning you ever sent? Gone. Every "I miss you" that felt too easy for you to take back? Gone. Every long message I poured my heart into while you replied with 5 dry words? All of it gone. And as each one disappeared, something strange happened. It didn't hurt. Not the way I thought it would. It didn't rip me apart or send me spiraling. It just felt quiet. Like closing a book I've read too many times, hoping the ending would somehow change. But this time I'm not flipping back to the start. This time I'm done pretending that digital breadcrumbs mean love. Because love isn't proven through perfectly timed replies. It's felt in consistency, in showing up, in being someone who doesn't leave others questioning their own worth every night. So yeah, I just deleted every communication you sent me. Not to erase you, but to finally make room for me. The silence after deleting everything, it was louder than I expected. No notifications. No random messages at 2 a.m. No "hey stranger" after disappearing for days. Just nothing. And at first it felt weird, because I was so used to waiting, checking my phone without even realizing, reading old messages just to feel close to someone who never stayed close for real. But this silence? It was different. It didn't come from being ignored. It came from me choosing not to be haunted anymore. I wasn't waiting to hear from you. I wasn't hoping for a "let's fix this." I wasn't replaying old calls in my head trying to figure out what I missed. For once, I was just here, sitting with myself, listening to my own thoughts, and realizing they'd been buried under your noise for far too long. Because your words? They were everywhere. In my music playlists, in the way I worded my texts, in the way I second-guessed myself when I wanted to ask for more. You were in the empty space between messages, in the hours you took to respond, in the tension I felt every time your name popped up, wondering if I was about to be loved or let down again. But now I get to breathe, without rereading our old conversations and wondering what was real, without comparing your half-effort to what I truly deserve. And it's wild how fast the peace came, not because I stopped caring, but because I finally started caring about myself more. I went for a walk without waiting for your call. I smiled at a stranger and didn't feel guilty. I sat with my thoughts and didn't drown. Because sometimes, peace doesn't look like getting closure from the other person. Sometimes it looks like deleting the words they left behind and realizing they were never your home in the first place. So when people ask, "Don't you miss them?" I'll say, I miss who I thought they were. But I don't miss what they actually gave me. Because now I know. I never needed their words to feel whole. I just needed to hear my own voice again. It started quietly. No fireworks. No butterflies crashing into each other. Just a calm presence. That didn't need to impress me. The first time we spoke, it felt different. Not because they said all the right things, but because they didn't rush to say anything at all. They listened. Like, actually listened. Not the kind of listening where someone's just waiting for their turn to speak, but the kind where you can tell they're holding your words like they matter. And I wasn't used to that. I was used to chasing clarity, used to asking twice, used to wondering if I was being too much or not enough. But this time, I didn't feel like I was fighting to be understood. I didn't tell them everything right away. I didn't hand them my heart and say, "Please don't drop it." I just showed up, a little cautious, a little scarred, but more me than I'd ever been. And they never asked me to be anyone else. No, "Why don't you smile more?" No, "You're too sensitive." No, "You're overthinking." Instead, they said, "Take your time. Say it how you need to. I'm not going anywhere." And those words, they didn't sound poetic. They sounded safe. We talked about small things at first: music, food, what peace looks like to us. And somewhere between laughing about how weird pineapple on pizza is and sharing playlists that got us through hard nights, I noticed something. I wasn't waiting for them to disappear. I wasn't checking how long they took to reply. I wasn't scared to be seen, because they weren't trying to fill the silence with promises. They were just present. And that felt louder than anything I had before. It's strange how deleting everything from you, the old messages, the voice notes, the digital memories, felt like cutting a lifeline. But now it feels like I was just clearing space. For this. For me. For someone who didn't fall in love with my highlight reel, but with the way I say I'm okay even when I'm clearly not, and the way I still show up for others when I'm learning how to show up for myself. This time, I'm not rushing. I'm not trying to prove I'm worth staying for. I'm just being. And someone sees that. Not because I had to beg for attention, but because I finally stopped giving it to people who only knew how to leave. It happened on a quiet evening. The kind that should have felt warm, steady, easy. But something inside me flinched. We were sitting side by side, a movie playing in the background, their hand resting gently over mine. And out of nowhere, I pulled away, not harshly, just slow, quiet, subtle. But they noticed. Of course they did. They didn't say anything right away. Just looked at me with soft eyes, not confusion, but concern. "Are you okay?" they asked gently. I nodded too quickly. "Yeah, I'm good." But I wasn't. Because suddenly, I was back in those moments with you, the old you. The one who used to pull away first. The one who left me on read. The one who turned love into a guessing game I could never win. And for a second, I forgot I wasn't with you anymore. I forgot I was safe now. I forgot I didn't have to protect myself from kindness. I stood up, mumbled something about needing water, walked into the kitchen, and just leaned against the counter, breathing. Old habits are loud, even when your world is finally quiet. I was scared I had just ruined something gentle by being someone still learning how to heal. But then, I heard footsteps. They didn't come in with questions. They didn't press. They just stood a few feet away, voice calm. "You don't have to explain if you're not ready," they said. "But just so you know, I don't scare that easy." That stopped me. Because the you before, used to make me feel like I had to explain everything. Why I needed reassurance. Why I froze up. Why sometimes I disappeared in my own thoughts. But this person, they met me right where I was. So I turned, slowly, and said the thing I didn't even know I needed to say. "I'm not used to being safe with someone. So when it feels too calm, too easy, sometimes I panic." They nodded. "That makes sense." I looked up, searching their face for any sign of judgment. There was none. "Do you want to be alone?" they asked softly. And I shook my head. "No. I just needed to remember I'm not back there." They stepped closer, not touching me, just offering presence. "You're not," they said. "And I'll keep reminding you, without making you feel broken." And something in me cracked open. Because this wasn't someone walking into my pain expecting a perfect version of me. This was someone staying in the room with the pain, not trying to fix it, not trying to rush me past it, just staying. And that was new, and beautiful, and worth everything I let go of to get here. Later that night, after the quiet returned and the air softened again between us, they spoke. Not fast, not dramatically, just real. "I get it more than you think," they said, staring up at the ceiling, lying beside me in the dark. I turned slightly, curious, silent, listening. "You're not the only one who learned to flinch at love," they continued. "I used to call it independence. I told myself I didn't need anyone, that I was better off alone. But really, I was just tired of being let down. They shifted onto their side, facing me now. There was a time I stopped opening up completely. Smiles on the outside, locked doors on the inside. And the worst part? Nobody even noticed. I was the strong one, the easy one, the one people leaned on and then walked away from. I felt my chest tighten. Not because it shocked me, but because I knew that feeling too well. They looked into my eyes and said, "You're not too much. I'm not too little. We're just two people who got used to hiding." I reached for their hand, slowly, and they didn't flinch. They held on. And in that stillness we both let our guards down at the same time, just a little. Enough to feel it. Enough to say we're safe here. They let me see the parts of them they'd tucked away. The disappointments they never unpacked. The things they gave up on because it hurt too much to want them. And I didn't look away. Not once. Because this wasn't about fixing each other. It wasn't about rescuing or rebuilding overnight. It was about recognition. Two hearts that had been bruised by careless hands, now choosing to handle each other gently. "I don't need perfect," they whispered. "Me neither," I said. They smiled, eyes soft but steady. "Then let's not be perfect. Let's just be true." We didn't need promises that night. No forever speeches. No dramatic declarations. Just honesty. And the kind of silence that didn't feel empty. Felt like trust. It felt like, for the first time, we weren't alone in the room anymore.